I'm just sitting here thinking about how much I've grown, how much I've evolved, and how much I have changed in my mind, in my consciousness, in my perception, in my view, in my celebration of things, celebration of holidays in particular. I remember when I was first getting into like so-called African consciousness, like doing a lot of research, a lot of digging into history and religion and culture and everything. And initially a lot of stuff that I was finding out made me resentful. It made me very angry, and it definitely put me in a serious place of resentment and rejection. So because of so many things that I was finding out that I felt was a contrast, or that I felt was so different to what I was constantly and repeatedly taught and told about history and religion and spirituality and the world and people, etc., that when I started finding things out from my own perspective, or looking into things and understanding things from my own understanding, the first thing I did was reject and throw out a lot of what I felt like I was lied to about, or what I felt like I was programmed or brainwashed about. But then what happened was I found myself in a place of so much resentment that I didn't have anything. I had a whole bunch of resentment and like nothing to celebrate, nothing to be happy about, nothing to really be proud of or like look forward to. And so I knew I was still not really in the place that I was trying to get to in my initial wanting to find out about God and black history and people and why I'm here and my purpose and all of that. I know that me getting into a resentful and angry place wasn't healthy. So what I did was I started to revisit a lot of things that I have thrown away, a lot of ideas and philosophies, specifically religion, specifically holidays, more specifically, things like Thanksgiving, Mother's Day, Christmas, Father's Day, etc. The more spiritual I got, the more deep and the more in depth I really dug into holistic ideas, holistic understanding, holistic history, especially history in a true chronological order, in a true chronological fashion, meaning beginning to end, or begin from the very beginning of man all the way up into current day. I started to find out, or I started to realize that all of the holidays or holy days are still what they are. People perverting, or man putting their spin or putting their indoctrination on certain things is not necessarily for me to throw the entire concept out. It's like, I've heard the saying, you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And so it's basically like you throw out what's not good. You throw out what doesn't really feed the soul or feed the mind. Throw out what doesn't work for you, and you keep what really does work for you, what makes you feel good, what keeps you progressing and keeps you looking forward, and gives you some type of purpose, something that really makes you feel like life is worth living, so to speak. And so I started to revisit all of the holidays, and Christmas in particular, because I remember the Christmas spirit that I grew up with. I grew up very family oriented. My grandma made sure to leave a certain experience and a certain impression on her grandchildren. And one of those impressions that she left on me was the Christmas spirit, the gathering of family, the eating, and the gifts. But I definitely remember that there was an idea of a higher power, of God, of there being something bigger than just material things and just everybody gathering around to eat and get gifts and see what you got or see what your parents got for you. I remember her at least giving us the fact that this all still means something about God. I've come to understand about God and in my spirituality, my spiritual practices, is that there's many different ways and many different ideas, many different philosophies, many different paths, many different ways to serve and to praise and to celebrate God. Good, honesty, integrity, family, unity, all of those things, wherever you are on the planet, is basically the common idea in everybody's religious practices or in everybody's celebration of these so-called holidays or holy days. What I'm trying to say all in a nutshell is that for people like myself and for people that are going through a very, very trying, a very, very tough, a very, very dark time, so to speak, especially because of the holidays, it kind of puts a spotlight on whatever you may be going through. The way that I have understood Christmas in a spiritual perspective that keeps me able to celebrate and keeps me able to rejoice and be happy, like real gratitude in my heart, is me understanding that the Christ and the story of the Christmas story is that this is the Christ's birthday. The birth of Christ is what Christmas is supposed to be. What I've understood through African spirituality or through spirituality in general is that that Christ that died, or that Christ that whose birthday it is actually the sun that we have no life without, the sun that has to rise in order for our consciousness, in order for our mind to even rise out of sleep. That sun, it gets to a certain point in the heavens. It goes through seasons where it springs up in the springtime with new life, a new consciousness, a new vibrance. It hits its peak, it hits its highest, most strongest, most elevated point in the summertime, and then it starts to fall. It starts to come off of its climax, so to speak. It reaches a high climax in the summer, and then after, like the saying goes, what goes up must come down. After a certain heightened point that it reaches, it begins its descending or its downward spiral, or it's dying. It springs up in new life through spring and summer, and then it begins its fall during the autumn or the fall season. And during the winter season, especially during Christmas, it loses its light or its life. This is what I've understood based on my reading and my understanding in the spiritual or the African black cultures of Christ and Christianity. During the winter season, specifically around December 22nd, December 23rd to December 25th, the sun does not give off any more life, any new light, any more energy. It basically halts. It basically freezes in itself. Like everything has to shed, everything has to die and be made new. What I've understood is that the sun, even the moon blacks out for a couple of days. Everything has to go into a cocoon, so to speak, in order to give off a new wave, a new life. December 25th marks the beginning of the sun starting its upward path, starting its journey back into the direction towards the springing forth of light, which is the spring season that's soon to come. Not coincidentally, in the spring season, we get Easter, or the so-called resurrection, the birth of the Christ. Merry Christmas, y'all. All I'm trying to say is it's not to be thrown away. None of these holidays. The holidays are holy days, ordained, fixated, carved, and stamped into our beings and in our cosmic order of existence, where there are pivotal points, there are high points and low points of our cosmic, of our planet, of our sun, of our moon, of our stars, of our existence. Like, we have good days and we have bad days. Well, so do the heavens. So does the sun and the moon and the stars. And so we celebrate in our culture, in the Black, African, Indigenous, Moorish, we always celebrated nature and the cosmos because we understood that our being, our existence, my breath, even my putting words into form is really just is given to me by nature. My animations, my ability to even voice anything to you is given to me by the elements of fire and water and air and earth. We're all in synchronicity. So it's a homage that must be paid in order for my continuance into new life, into constant new thinking, constant new feeling, constant evolution, constant material wealth, material gain, constant blessing and blessedness on my children and my family. All comes from those energies that we are born and existing by, which is evident through our cosmic realm, so to speak. Without trying to be too deep. But, it's a deep time we in right now, so whatever. But Merry Christmas.